Well, good evening, everybody, and this is the regular meeting of the Housing Committee for Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. I am Kathy Hunter, and I'll be chairing tonight's meeting. And tonight, we are joined by committee members Elaine Feldman, Jim Graham, and Mary Dean. So we have a quorum. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes for October 6th. Did folks get a chance to look at those minutes? Have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Okay,
Second.
Elaine. Jim seconds. The second item on the agenda is public comment. I don't see any public comment unless you guys would like to have to say something, okay. So we will move on to the housing chair report. So just a couple things I wanted to just mention. I did attend the Connecticut Housing Conference. That was on October 23rd at Foxwoods Casino. And there was a lot of buzz about the veto House Bill 5002, a lot of talk about that. Seemed like there was coming to some agreement with the governor's office and the legislators, but there were some key substantial pieces that were up for debate. So there is still a legislative session planned for next week, which might get pushed into the regular session in February, not sure. But the message I heard from the Democratic legislators that they were not going to settle for a weak bill. And so, some of the governor was there, and he did, talk about what he thought would be good in the bill with some regional resources that would come to like the COGS, some support for building up, sewer infrastructure, and some supplemental funding to cover educational expenses if there are more school children as a result of building more housing. But the biggest bone of contention, I thought, was the fair share number that was in the original bill. So that seemed to be something that needed to be worked out, because if you remember, there was a fair share. Here comes Warner. There was a fair share number, and our number was 332 units that we had to build over 10 years, and that was our fair share number. And so towns, there was a lot of pushback from towns, a lot in Fairfield County, that didn't feel that they should be beholden to a number. So that
there shouldn't be a number for anybody. There shouldn't be a definite number for anybody.
No, they just felt they felt it was just kind of overreach of local control, and there shouldn't be a number. But I think that's being worked out in some sort. Yeah. So the conference was interesting. They highlighted some progress that some towns had for building affordable housing in towns like West Hartford, Norwalk, New London, New Haven, Newington even, and they were just like kind of held up as examples of different towns that were really promoting more affordable housing. So that was interesting. So that was the conference. I did want to just mention our POCD, our Plan of Conservation and Development. We finished up our public hearing on that, and so we are currently reviewing all the comments that were sent in, because there was a lot of different comments that were sent in on the POCD, because the Board of Selectmen had held 3 hearings, and so there was a lot of information that came in from them. So we're taking that information, and we're still working with SLR, the consultant firm, and they're just taking all the different comments, and they're going to itemize the comments, and we're either going to have to accept or reject, and if we reject, then we have to explain why we're not accepting certain commentary. And 804 Fountain Street, the public hearing has been continued to December 1st. So that still goes on. We may need to appear in front of the Board of Selectmen next week for their meeting to talk about the updates to the affordable housing plan that we did. They're going to get back to me because it seems like it's not going to be on their agenda until later in the meeting. So they're not sure, whether or not they're going to have us present or whether or not they might just review our updates and have us come back in December. That's still being worked out, but we may be presenting next week to the Board of Selectmen to just talk about, how we did our updates. And so as I sent out earlier today, the Conservation Committee did add us to their agenda. They didn't give me a heads up. I asked at the beginning of the week, can you let us know? And because I would have to send out a notice, but I said, well, let me just check their agenda, and I checked their agenda, and they had us on the agenda.
Yeah,
so
we were. Yay.
and
Okay.
we were. So I sent out a special meeting notice, and so we'll be there tomorrow at 6:20 for those that can make it. I think it's good to be there and just start the conversation.
In this room?
Yeah, they meet in this room. So it'll be they're giving us 40 minutes.
Do we have any idea what information they would like to have from us? Do they want a preamble? Do they want, do we provide them with anything? I don't recall.
I thought there was going to be a discussion, because I reached out earlier this week to see whether or not they want us to suggest some agenda items, and I didn't. Mine was a busy week, so I'm not gonna
Yeah.
really I think people just got very distracted this week, but
But did you say you have something prepared to read?
I
perhaps?
did, I did prepare something, which I forgot about because we're supposed to meet with them during the summer. And so I might I don't want to, read it now because then they might hear it. And but it's really talking about kind of bouncing off from the session we had with the Connecticut Conservation Land Trust, not Land Trust, what's the name of the group? I can never, CCLT?
This one, the
Yes.
presentation.
Was it Conservation?
Connecticut Conservation Land Trust and Affordable Housing.
Right, I can never get the name straight.
This was,
I'm not sure I understand the connection between that and the affordable housing plan.
Because that was our first entree into getting together and meeting together.
Are we talking about the Conservation Commission here, or are we talking about the Board of Selectmen presentation?
Oh, no, I'm talking about the Conservation Commission.
That's my confusion.
Oh,
You can
sorry.
understand it.
Sorry, I've been bouncing around here.
Well, I was just thinking about the affordable housing amendment because, as you know, it's from the meeting, from the TPC meeting last Thursday, if not earlier, there continues to be a lot of comment about the affordable housing plan and how it's deficient and how it needs to be rewritten and all that sort of thing that we've heard about for quite a long time. And I think the continuation of those concerns suggests that we should be prepared to explain how and why we did make the changes that we did to the affordable housing plan. Because if somebody simply looks at what it looks like now, they might say, well, what's going on here? Well, you didn't make any of these alterations. Of course, we did. We made quite a few of the alterations that were suggested by members of the commission, by our committee, as well as members of the public. So to explain what we did and why we didn't, what we didn't do, I think would be helpful to everybody.
Yeah, no, that's what we're going to be
Doing.
yeah. And I could, because I'll probably, and I hope, people, members of the committee could make it to the Board of Selectmen meeting for moral support, but it's that, and I think we've gone through it enough to explain what we did, and basically, we did the changes in terms of, there's some changes that needed, we decided to make in order to alleviate the confusion of like the 10%.
Right.
But a lot of the concerns was around the demographics, which we just, eliminated and just linked into the updated demographics and existing conditions from the Plan of Conservation Development.
I think
So
it
that-
should, yeah, I
so-
think it should be pretty easy to summarize.
So that reflects a lot of their concerns that the information was not correct. Now, I don't know if they're gonna find the information from the POCD correct, because, it's based on, American Community Survey, which is the most reliable data that's used for planning purposes, because it's the only data that's
That's
used.
right, it's the only.
Yeah, so, short of doing a complete census of going out and knocking on everybody's doors, it's the best data.
Which was suggested as well.
Which was suggested.
Well, not only that, it requires projection too.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you gotta get your crystal ball out, and that's it's an art, not a science.
Right, and that's what it's used for. It's really it's not to it's not an exact science, but it's used for projections and to just, it's good data that you could plan with. So, yeah, it's not perfect, but for our purposes, where we're in a town that doesn't have any affordable housing, it's I mean, I think that's the one data point that really drives what we're doing. And I don't think they ever even looked at the strategies, because I thought we spent a lot of time going through the strategies, and no one talks about that in any sense. And that's the meat of the plan of how we're going to produce housing.
So how do you think it's going to go tomorrow? Are we going to make a presentation? Are they going to ask us questions?
I'm not sure, because I didn't get a chance to correspond with
No,
them.
What do you think
Be awkward.
they want to hear from us? What do you think that they want to address? Because I wasn't all that encouraged by the discussion we had when Ben was here,
Yeah.
because I didn't see that there was much room in the way of room for compromise, but, I don't know what are they looking to hear from us? Or what do we want to
Well,
convey to them?
Or can we go over what Ben had to say? And I'm sure we all had a couple of questions
Yeah.
based on his presentation.
I think what I wanted to, in terms of what I think we should, I mean, the main thing I like to walk away with is just the understanding that we have an affordable housing problem in Woodbridge, in the region, in the state, and that we have to address this somehow. And that we are not looking to, have high density housing on high value conservation land. We're not proposing that whatsoever. And we do have a multifaceted approach, and we're trying to, we do want to, build housing where there's existing, infrastructure, and certainly doing housing in, the business district or flats. That's, changing some zoning regulations and doing some, mixed-use housing. I think that helps, but that's not gonna, do it all. So you are gonna have to have some development. And it's
Well,
just
I think
getting-
his initial premise when he first started out was that we have a lot more flexibility in housing than they have with conservation, and
And we really don't.
What does that mean?
what is...
I didn't get
Well,
a
that would've-
satisfactory response to that one. I
I
didn't
know.
understand what that meant.
Yeah, and maybe that's what we could talk about, because we really don't, because we're really limited.
Because we really don't
Um,
have that much flexibility.
Yeah, because we can only, currently, our zoning regulations only allows us to build in areas, non-water supply watershed, which is only 30% of the, residential A. So we're limited, just by the fact that the zoning regulations were created in order to, you know, protect the water supply. So we're limited there.
I didn't understand, and maybe you have a better understanding, I didn't understand why he was saying that they were more inflexible and that they didn't have any, I didn't understand that their hands were tied in terms of, I mean, maybe they're affected, and maybe their, you know, view of the world, but I didn't see that it was, oh, well, you know, we can't do that.
Well, if I
ever.
understood correctly, and this is, and I'm sure there's more to be said on the subject, but what I think his point was that a given ecosystem, piece of property, a site, may very well have residents or other features that render it unique. And you can't alter those by moving them to a, or just, you know, substituting a different piece of property for that piece of property for whatever, for other purposes.
Then is
That's, I would say that was open to discussion.
Okay, and then if,
Just
and then.
depending on the
Isn't the burden
circumstances.
on them to show why that isn't the case? I mean, you know, I'm not
Well, that seems to be
prepared
the way it
to
works.
accept the, you know,
That premise, yeah.
Well, under some circumstances,
Maybe
I mean,
true.
that's perfectly manifest. You can't build, you can't do other things with certain kinds of property because of all
well,
kinds of
no,
factors. but-
no, but I mean, for example, if you were, you know, if you know, hypothetically had a piece of property, it was, you know, I don't know, a couple hundred acres or something like that, and your concern was over particular wildlife that, you know, you absolutely can't do anything because that would disturb, you know, their mating, season. I
Mhm.
mean, you know, I
Mhm.
mean,
It
if that's what they're
happens.
talking about, I mean, you know, like, I
There's
need a
plenty-
little bit more information.
Yeah, there's plenty of precedent for that kind of thing, but it does depend on,
Agree, okay.
It's
Well,
pretty-
I guess.
I
I'd
would
like to
guess
understand.
it's a pretty rare set of circumstances. But, you know, we need more information, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
all.
I think it's just part of discussion, but, you know, in order, but I think the ban on not doing development on any, like, undeveloped piece of property is just a little bit much, because it's like, you know, it's okay if, you know, somebody who buys a piece of property and builds a single-family house, you know, knocks down the trees and blasts out the ledge, and, you know, how do we know
Why
that's
is that okay?
yeah, how do we know that, whether or not that's you know, the ledge was you know, rock of ecological significance? Now, no one's checking that out, but because,
Okay.
and folks could do that because it's a single-family house, and you don't have to go to a special exception, so you don't have to have a public hearing. But the fact that when you have a multifamily housing development, you have to have a public hearing, and then people could come out and say, well, that's a special rock, we shouldn't be building something there. And I'm just using that as a hypothetical.
Well, yeah, but I think that was actually one of the main points of the original lawsuit, was the double standard
Right.
used for very large, single-family houses as opposed to a duplex or a, you know,
Quadruplex.
they're just completely inconsistent standards used, I think.
No, you're right. And I think that's by maybe just having this conversation, maybe something will spark that there's some unfairness here. You know,
Yeah,
we're talking about
inconsistencies.
equity, we're talking about, you know, folks that, that really need housing in town and in the region, and people that work in the town, that like to live in the town. I mean, again, you hear like, well, the planning and zoning had a community survey, and, you know, the housing was like listed last, so why are we including housing in the POCD? And that, you know, it's just like, that's not how a POCD is prepared, you know? Yes, you take in community input, but you also have to base it on other plans, the needs of the town, the demographics, and if we're showing that we have people that are in need of affordable housing, then you have to factor that in as well, not just, a special, interest group of people that don't want development, we have to consider all the different needs and factors that go into this plan.
One of the things that concerns me particularly hard on the heels of this campaign and a lot of the rhetoric that was surrounding the campaign positions is that the conservation factor, in this case the Conservation Commission, and the housing factor, in this case the Housing Committee, I fear that I would be afraid that we would do anything that might encourage the notion that these were two diametrically opposed values in our town and that they couldn't work together. I would not want to do anything that might encourage in anybody
Right.
the sensation that we have no interest in or concern for their position. They should have interest and concern for our remit. And where we need to get to is an understanding of that we will never be entirely of the same mind because we have different sets of responsibilities according to our charters,
Yeah.
right? But we've got to find some way to, while respecting those different perspectives and remits, to find a place in the middle where we can work together.
Yeah. But I thought that, as a general proposition, we were advocating cooperation and compromise, and I did not see that coming from the other side.
I don't want to encourage that. That's what I'm saying. It seems to be there, and I am willing to do what's necessary to just avoid inspiring those ideas. And so I'm afraid that if we come in to our first meeting with them and are not very aware of that possibility, that we may inadvertently encourage the notion that we are hidebound and that we are insisting that they adopt our perspective.
I think we
That's
can
my
make it
concern.
very clear that we're there to listen, to learn, to figure out how to work together, because we have to.
Exactly.
And I think we can, I hope we can set that tone, because I think it is truly our intention.
Well, I'll return to the suggestion that I made last time, and that is that we begin by asking them that we had heard and were concerned with what we had heard about the fact that the program disturbed them in some way, that it caused them to be, that they objected to some of the things that they heard in the July 30th program. And then if they can talk about that and we can start helping to reassure them about the meaning of what they heard and the intention of the program, that might be a good way to start.
We could start that way. I
I
mean,
know.
I did, again, I did write a statement up, and this was right after we had the roundtable meeting, the virtual meeting. And it just kind of talks about some ways of working together. And I'll just say a couple things, directing development to suitable locations, and just equity considerations, and having shared planning, because I think that's one thing I thought I was interested in that came out from Ben was like, if he, and this is a great exercise, if they could identify property where they feel housing could be built that they don't see as having, high
Yeah,
conservation value, then we could, that's
That's a good first start.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
But it can't be like, we only want to have housing, in the business district because it's already developed, and we just want to repurpose, office buildings. And I'm not saying that's, because we do want to do that. But it can't, I think one of our values is that we don't want to just, segregate all the affordable housing into one location, that we want to have housing where people of all different economic means can have access to things like
Space.
trails and open space and things of that sort, because it would be nice if there was some affordable housing on, maybe a piece of property. And that was the discussion at the roundtable session, was like, oh, this is a piece of, conserved property, but it's on a road. This could be a good location for housing. Let's build a housing there, and this way you have both affordable housing, and then they have access to open space. And I think you want to be able to, have let people of all different diverse backgrounds have access to everything in Woodbridge that people hold dear to their hearts. So
It's certainly one good way of garnering support for the conservation of open space is to have more people invested in it.
yeah, because sustainable communities is not just, conserving land. Sustainable communities is making sure that people could sustain themselves living in the town by having, housing that they're able to afford, and not be able to, feel secure and stable in there, and not be worried about having to leave their housing.
So is everybody going to be able to go tomorrow night at 6:20? Please?
I'm in.
Yeah, are you able to make it
Water.
work?
I guess so.
I wonder if Chris is going to be able to come.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not hear from him, but, yeah, maybe he could come too. I think that would be good.
Mhm.
Oh, you didn't hear from Chris tonight?
He couldn't come tonight.
Yeah.
He had something going on,
A recruiting dinner.
recruiting dinner, yeah, so I'm not sure. Is he recruiting?
I didn't know what that meant.
I don't know who's recruiting whom.
For what?
Okay.
I don't know.
So are we gonna begin by letting them welcome us and so forth? Or are
Well,
we
yeah,
gonna-
I
We need a
would-
plan.
I would encourage them to play the first trick.
Yeah, yeah. They are our hosts and hostesses, so they can call the shots.
I guess we need a backup plan in case there's like stone cold silence.
That's what,
I mean, it's like.
Well, I do have something, I'll send it out. I do have something that I did, I wrote out that is kind of like a statement, thanking them for the opportunity to speak with them,
okay.
and how to explore ways to work together. Because I think we should maybe we should leave with like a thing to work on. And it may be that they need some more information. Because I remember once they had a meeting, because I did try to watch their meetings, where they had a lot of like basic questions on, what is affordable housing, and what's, the salary ranges, and what's they had some, specific questions to understand what that is. So, it may be that they just,
Well, maybe they're looking for information.
yeah, and it was interesting because one of the members like, why don't we invite the housing committee? And they're like, yeah, no. But now, at least we're making progress that we're now on their
Absolutely.
agenda.
Yeah, I would be interested in hearing, their perception of what their mission is.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Yeah,
so
just-
just so I can sort of, try to figure out ways that we might be able to work together. Or if there are roadblocks, maybe how we can try to get around them.
Is it too soon to suggest that we collaborate on a public program? Say on ADUs, as an example?
If you want to give that to them, that's, you want to work on that with them. I mean, of course, I'm not I think ADUs are a wonderful option in town. I just don't think it's going to help with our affordable housing problem.
No,
just-
it's not.
But if,
Well, like
But it might help with some other aspect of our housing problem, and it certainly would help with some other aspects of our
Yeah, it does help, and I
charge,
shouldn't
shall we
say
say.
it doesn't, it's not gonna add to our affordable housing count, but it
Numbers,
does provide opportunity housing, which is what we're
Exactly.
also working on. So I think it's a
Exactly.
wonderful strategy, because it does give people a lot of options to
Theoretically.
just to even to afford like the main house, if they have an ADU and they're able to rent it out, then they could get rent to provide income streams, so they're able to afford to live in the town. So it's I think it needs to be and I try to get it promoted through like the Realtor Association. I did talk to some realtors to see if they could push it, because I would think that's a good selling point to say, hey, you could build an ADU, where the town, Woodbridge now allows you to build an ADU. So that might be something you could think about.
Mary, didn't you say you saw or attended a good presentation?
I sent the link out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
last
that's
time,
right,
Yeah.
that's right.
Wondered if anybody had looked at it. Yeah, I think all of us who understand the numbers know that we're not going to address our affordable, capital A, affordable housing issue in that manner, but we've so frequently been asked for information about it.
Yeah.
Seems like it's going to be work, but it seems like something that we ought to do.
Are there
Yeah.
any towns that you know of that are using it a lot at this point, or?
Well,
Yeah.
California, of course, but
Oh,
for
California,
completely
yeah.
different reasons, and other parts of the country.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think-
It's not, as far as I know, and I'm not an expert on this,
Mhm.
but I didn't see any indication that it was used specifically for affordable housing. It's certainly not in Connecticut. But it is housing, and it's a different kind of housing. It's smaller housing. It's more accessible in many ways. So, and it it conserves land. So what more, how can you object to that? Put more people on less land. End of story.
It addresses other problems too. I mean, for example, if you need a place for a caregiver, you don't want them living so far away that they can't get to where you need them to be.
Yeah.
And that may be something that's, it's certainly useful as part of the whole package.
Yeah.
Of, increasing the housing stock.
One of the few people I know who actually has, quite accidentally, an ADU in their house, rents it to somebody who works for the high school. And that's another thing, you get local people working locally, can live locally.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
a good thing too. So there's lots of wins there, just not numbers. I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, another, concern that I see if you look at the POCD comments, that some folks want to put a ban on not allowing the ADUs to be used as like an Airbnb. And I have kind of mixed reviews on that, because I'm like, if you want to generate income in order to be able to afford your house, is that a bad, or are you giving temporary housing to somebody? Is that a bad thing? Or does that create another issue?
No, it can be. I mean, there are issues about how you can discriminate, and there's this thing about the Dormant Commerce Clause, but that's for another day.
Okay.
But the issue is regulating, if you have an Airbnb and the people who are there aren't from here, they're here temporarily, and it's 12 frat boys decide to have a week-long party, and there's noise and all that, and the trash and like that. A lot of communities are concerned about that, and rightfully so.
Mhm.
So there has to be some level of regulation about hours and times and what you can and cannot do. That's one of the reasons that people some places have tried to keep them out
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah. Well, that's a good reason.
I mean,
Yeah.
But that can happen with any rental property. We have a rental property in New Haven. My sister used to live there, and most of my tenants have been absolutely wonderful, but I've had a couple of bad experiences.
the significant difference, I think, with the Airbnb type things, it's their
short-term.
transient
It's
rentals.
transient.
So
Yeah.
if you have somebody living there for an extended period of time, they live there.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
But
It's
if you have
it's
somebody who's
different.
gone on Wednesday, hey, so that's a
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I guess, maybe this is a discussion we could have in the future, or maybe this is a discussion that is more of an ordinance discussion. I'm not sure. I don't know the pros and cons of it. But I did see that being a concern. And, I'm not sure which way I would go, whether or not
There are ways to make it work. It just has to, to some degree depends upon how regulated it is and who's going to police the regulations.
yeah.
You can make it work.
I guess we'd have to see how it works in other towns.
Well, East Haven for example, has an ordinance. There's a bunch of litigation all over the country about this stuff. And East Haven had one that was basically trying to ban all of it, and I think that's probably going too far.
Yeah.
Or say that you actually have to be a resident to use it,
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, actually, that's okay, but in some places what was happening and this actually was happening in Spain, of all places, okay? People were buying, people who weren't from a town, city, let's say it was, Valencia or something like that, they're buying properties and they're using them as Airbnbs, and they're basically causing the prices of the properties to go up, and the local people, but that was not quite an accessory unit we're talking about.
Yeah,
but so the economics are kind of, in that are different. And that's happened in some places in the United States too, so.
Okay. Well, I guess to be continued, but
Yeah.
I did want to,
So if you'll send that statement that you have prepared? so we
yes,
can take a
I'll
look
send
at
it out and see what
And then maybe
people
each of
think.
us have a couple of questions in our minds so we don't have the dreaded awkward silence.
Yeah.
Well, if nothing else, we could just introduce ourselves personally,
Yeah,
our backgrounds.
absolutely.
We don't have to have a dreaded silence with it.
I don't think there's
Either
really
a dreaded
sense.
silence or some kind of potentially confrontational conversation.
Yeah, I'm trying, I want to go into this as a positive
Yeah.
experience,
Absolutely.
and if we get through 40 minutes with some recognition of, yes, we need to do something about affordable housing, and we need to identify where we should have affordable housing, and maybe work on next steps of meeting again, and have them tell us what they'd like to know more about, and we could tell them what we would like to understand more about.
Yeah.
Then that would be a good first step, and maybe we could just set up a regular meeting.
Are there any other committees or commissions with whom we should be communicating to break down silos in the same manner?
Yeah, it's funny because the Sustainability Committee walked by, and, affordable housing, preventing homelessness, those are all like sustainability performance benchmarks in sustainable CT, and they were working on, with Allison. The town got a bronze certification for sustainable CT. I'm not sure, are you familiar with, we talked a little bit about this probably last year or the year before, but, there's a whole laundry list of sustainable activities you could do. And, a lot of it's environmental, but energy, energy efficiency and things of that sort, but it kind of takes a broad approach on sustainability. And having a sustainable community means you have, housing that people could afford and live in. So they consider the broad aspect of sustainability. So it would be good to maybe, work with the sustainable committee just to get them engaged in just kind of cross-pollinate, because
Yeah.
it does overlap.
Well, I think
So-
we should go in with the expectation that it'll be cooperative and that we'll, have things to talk about what we can do together, right?
Yeah, because it's interesting because they did get the bronze certification. I think they had to fill out like an equity survey, and because it's like this whole procedure you have to go through. So I like to see how how they responded to that, because I know a lot of it has to do with housing, and maybe I know Allison was working on it as well, so maybe she just you know, used our information to answer the questions, but I'd like to see what the equity survey had to say. Anyway, all right, so tomorrow when we walk in, we first want to put the ball in their court and ask them if there's any questions they had on or concerns they had with the last roundtable discussion. Though I don't know if everybody was there from conservation.
I only mentioned it because Chris brought it up as a report from people there.
I'm trying to think of who was even
And
there.
I did too. I wasn't there, so.
When was it?
June 30th. Is it June 30th?
Yeah, July 30th.
July
July, you
30th.
said July 30th.
I'm trying to think of, was Diane there? Sharon might have been there. No, I think people were there. Yeah, now that I remember. Because I know that Kathy Wick was there and Brian Pines was there. So I think the thing is, I'm not sure if a lot of members could respond to that, because I'm not sure how
Okay,
many
well,
were
maybe
there
it's-
or how many, I did send out the recording of it afterwards, and I'm not sure how many people actually.
Well, then, maybe it's not a good way to start. We'll just let them decide. Maybe
Yeah.
something tells me they haven't really given it any thought.
Yeah, I think that was my concern, now I think about it. I'm not sure how many people were familiar with that. But some of what I have in the statement kind of harkens back to some of the themes that was in that presentation. So, anyway.
What was there a specific issue raised by the conservation folks with respect to what was said at the July 30th?
They
'Cause
just thought it was, the whole idea behind this presentation was to talk about how conservation and housing groups could work together to promote housing being the issue. And they felt that it was too much on housing
Okay.
and not realizing, or again, they thought it was just too focused on how to create more housing, but that was the focus of the session. So I guess
Okay, I understand.
the thing is we have a lot of work to do.
Got it.
So it's going to be a lot of education, just trying to push
Well,
the conversation.
That returns to my original point, which was concern that we make as much of an effort as we possibly can to anticipate and, if possible, move the conversation away from areas that people would, for whatever reason, sensitivity,
Yeah.
campaign flyers or whatever, want to move into silos of thought about these issues and just try to start over.
Yeah, and again, I think that's why I think we just want to make little incremental steps, just getting them to, because when we get into updating our next affordable housing plan, we are going to have to identify sites. They want us to be they want us to really operationalize that plan. Because we
Yeah.
talk about, things we could do to promote housing. No, they want to see a plan based on whatever number they come up with. They want to see, okay, here's the number, tell us, what sites you're thinking of doing it, and what zoning changes might
Be required.
be required in order to do it, and what's the timeline for doing it. They want to see something that's a little bit more actionable in these plans.
That seems kind of,
Do we have a reliable map of sites that are available and might be available for that? I mean,
Well, we do have a new planner, and we had some sites, but
what about the 26 or 28 acres on Litchfield Turnpike? That has just,
What
been
part of, where on the
purchased.
where?
is that for open space though?
I don't know whether it was purchased with open space funds or not. I don't know the background, but
Did you say
it was
20,
for sale,
28?
26 or 28 acres. It's on the east side of Litchfield Turnpike.
Yeah.
Between Litchfield Turnpike and the river. And it's been for sale for a while. It's across from Don Menzies' house, I think, or just down from there. I think it might be in a National Register Historic District, which nobody has mentioned.
Mhm.
But anyway, which wouldn't keep anything from happening.
Is it the property that the town purchased?
Did the town purchase it from the state? Or was it a private
Oh,
purchase?
no, that's right. I think that.
I think it was a private purchase, and we talked the state into buying it from
The
the
state
private
bought it.
owner.
The state bought it, but I think that's
Yeah.
being preserved or conserved, whatever. Yeah, I don't think
I
that's,
guess not. Well then,
but,
a win for conservation.
yeah. No, I mean, again, and maybe there's a reason why the state, maybe there's a reason why the state wants that property conserved.
Well, let's find out.
I don't know the composition of the property.
When did that transaction happen?
Just recently.
Okay,
It's
recently?
been- Yeah,
Okay.
it's been for sale for maybe a whole year, maybe
Okay,
not even that
okay.
long.
I just want to know if circumstances had changed since the, purchase. Obviously, that's not likely the case.
No, the story that I heard was that the state initially didn't want to buy it, but was talked into doing so. I guess the price came down, negotiations and so forth, but it's been for sale for a while. A lot of property
Mhm.
on that side. But whether it's buildable is another story too. Whether it's in floodplain,
I got the sense that it wasn't buildable.
I would guess it was not, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, but then, but again,
But then, right along the road there are lots of houses there, even if they're built up a bit.
well, this is going to be our charge, next year as we move it to update our affordable housing plan. We're going to have to identify sites, and that's what we're going to be going to be focused on. So there's some town-owned property sites that we had identified, and I think we just have to start just working on how to get housing built.
Are there resources, can we go outside to help identify these types of places or these potential sites? I mean,
Yeah, we can independently, start looking around and bring it to the planner,
okay.
to see if that,
And is that part of the planner's mandate to also see what is available?
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's gonna be, he's gonna be working, from what I understand, working on some zoning changes in like the business district to allow for housing there. But, I hear like stories of some towns that have done that. They, changed their zoning to allow for mixed-use housing, and nothing happened, because it's you can't like make people that
You
own
can't
property build housing, and
Correct.
I'm sure maybe some folks will be interested in doing it, but just because you make the zoning change doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to
Yeah, it has to-
happen.
privately owned, yeah.
Yeah.
And and the economics have to work too.
Right. That's like repurposing. Why don't we repurpose, an office building? Well, that doesn't always work. You might have to.
Speaking of building housing, did we ever find out about this 830G business?
I tried to
27
look it up
Beecher?
today. I couldn't find any specific information about it at all.
Yeah.
Now I'm even trying to remember how I first heard about it.
The Conservation Commission discussed it at their last meeting.
Did they?
But they discussed it in the context of the owners wanting to open a chicken farm. That's what I understand.
Well, I think there's an application that went to wetlands for it, so that's the extent that I know about it.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll find something out tomorrow, possibly.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
But, I mean, again, this is the reason why we have to start if we really want to control the destiny of our town, this is why we have to get some units built and try to get a moratorium.
Well,
Or else you're going to get something like that somewhere.
But Kathy, did you say that there's somebody interested in buying Lucy Street and that would all be affordable?
Yes.
All the units?
Yeah.
Deed restricted and everything? Okay.
That's the New Samaritan?
New Samaritan.
Yeah, okay.
Which is good, so that's.
Which is good.
That's a good thing, but I mean, those units counted towards our affordability count
Oh,
anyway, because it was
already.
a Chaffin mortgage, so even though it wasn't all affordable, I mean, the previous owner did keep it affordable. So it was kind of a good example of naturally occurring affordable housing, because he did keep them basically affordable. And that's probably a reason why he wasn't able to really reinvest that much into the property. But now it's good that you have a nonprofit comes in that will be able to access, public subsidies to vitalize the property and then to make that all affordable.
Mhm.
So
That's a good thing.
But it won't have any effect on our
no.
quota, no.
Okay, where am I? I think I'm still on my report.
We're still on your report.
We're still on,
Let
are
me
we,
see. What else did I have to say? Okay. Oh, just the last thing, I don't know if I sent this out, but SCROG did send this out. They're having a housing educational session on Wednesday, November 12th, water and sewer infrastructure,
Yeah.
to discuss, water and sewer systems, both the septic systems and public systems. And that's just a good way to understand what could be done in towns like Woodbridge. Just to, just have the knowledge base in terms of, you could have higher density housing in area. And when I say higher density, I'm not saying 100 unit apartment building, something higher, like maybe a 20 unit development could be on a septic system because of the different innovations.
That's just online though, isn't it? Not in person?
That's a virtual.
That's virtual.
So if you need that link to sign up,
It's on my calendar.
so it should be good.
I think that's important.
So that is all I have for the housing chair report. I'm not sure if anybody has any other questions on that.
You sent out a list of topics from Ben Fink.
Yeah.
Would you explain? I saw that too, and I started to copy it, and then I thought, I'm not sure what to do with this. So
Well, I was going to put that into community conversations because that's part of the work that I know Elaine and Lou sometimes goes to these meetings. But I don't think, Elaine, you didn't make that last meeting,
no, I
right?
couldn't
Yeah,
go to it.
I'm not sure if Lou went to it.
Oh, here's the
So,
notes.
I don't think Lou did either.
No, these are the-
so that'll be our last topic. We could discuss that. That's why I thought there was some good information there. So I
That's
just
why
wanted
started
to.
say that when I saw it.
So this next one, it's during the day, I presume, right? On the 12th, the SCROG
Yeah,
on water and
it
sewer.
is, what did I say, 1 o'clock? From 12 to 1:30. Okay, update on Housing Commission and future housing work. So my understanding at this point, in terms of the Housing Commission, is there's going to be a special meeting of the new board the new Board of Selectmen that comes in December, sometime in December. They're going to be making appointments.
Okay.
And so it's anticipated that nominating committees from the respective parties will reach out to folks to see if you want to serve on the new commission. And the suggestion was that if no one's reaching out to you, then reach out to them. But that's the process. they reach out to you to see, knowing that you're on the committee, you're still on the committee, they'll reach out and say, okay, well, you're on this committee, are you interested in serving on the
Who's
commission?
the they?
That would be your nominating committee of your respective party. So I don't know if you're Republican or and I don't know what to do if you're independent.
Well, I'm not, so.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't know what people are.
I figured it out, okay?
How nice that we don't know what we are. That's
No, I
really
don't,
great.
you know, it's,
So I had occasion to actually look up the state statute that covers this. I
Yeah.
had not really understood its applicability. It applies not just to the Board of Selectmen, with which we're familiar, but to all of these boards.
Yep.
So if we have 6 people, then we're required to have 2 people from the minority party.
yeah.
I don't know people's party affiliations, but that could have, were we required to have that for the committee as well as the
Yeah,
commission?
we did, so we do have
Oh,
two
then we-
folks.
then we
Yeah,
don't.
so that's, so I guess you and Chris would, I imagine there's a nominating committee or somebody, who chairs the committee? Well, maybe just talk to the chair.
Okay.
Or, I don't know. But if they follow procedure, then maybe they're gonna reach out and talk to you.
So if they don't reach out, we shouldn't take it personally then?
If they don't, yeah, if they're like
If
ready.
you're interested in you can call them up and say, tell them you're interested.
Yeah.
And if they tell you, go somewhere else, then they'll know where you stand.
Well, I think they're going, unless they have a slate of people that they wanna just move right in, which,
It's possible.
It's possible. It's
which I would
possible.
I would find that like, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know anymore, but I would think that they're going to, if they're gonna be nominating people in December after, so next meeting will probably be our last meeting as a committee, and.
As we know it.
As we know
Well,
it.
I would expect that they'll have, both of the parties will have an idea of who they want to have
Right.
involved.
Right.
Or not involved.
Right, so
Okay, so,
they're probably gonna have to reach out before they have their meeting on appointments to committees and commissions, so
goes where it goes.
we'll see.
Let's see.
But that's what I know.
Do you happen to know if the Board of Selectmen identifies the ex officio member? Doesn't the Board of Selectmen have, each member of the Board of Selectmen is an ex officio member of a board, of a commission?
I don't think they've been doing that.
No?
That's what I know. I don't know.
Be interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
All aboard.
All right, informational sessions. We did talk last time about having a session on ADUs, and I also talked about having a session on doing a retake of the affordable housing, fair housing session that we did a couple years ago, and that was a session that was really targeted for land use officials, but we made it open to any committee, commission, and to the public. And I think, I would think that folks would be really interested in this topic right now.
Should be.
Given housing has been elevated as a real big topic, to understand what it is for, affordable housing, for housing, what's our obligations, what is the state statutes, to understand it a little bit better. So I did get Attorney Mark Grants. He is able to do it for December 4th, so he's set to do that again. And also, in the event that there is a legislative session on the housing bill next week, I also scheduled Sean Gio, who is a senior policy director at the Partnership for Strong Communities, and he will be able to debrief, the town on the bill that passes and its impact on the town's planning. So I think it would be interesting to have that, and what the town should expect, especially in terms of our housing planning. So the town understands, like, this, you know, if they come up with a number, okay, here's the number that we have, and this is what we have to do for the next, 10 years, this is how I have to plan, and so he'll go over, all the different, he'll debrief us on whatever bill comes out of that session, if there is a session.
Right, if. And both of these gentlemen presenting at the same time, at the same evening,
Yeah.
December
Yeah.
4th, if we're still a commission.
Well, no, we're
Yeah,
gonna,
we're gonna
we're gonna have this training as our last
We'll
hurrah.
reconstitute ourselves as a real ad hoc committee.
Yeah, so
Okay.
So
That would be good.
did you book a venue?
I am trying to get the JCC, because I thought that was a really good venue to have that session. So I'm just waiting to hear back from Scott Cohen. And he's
He's usually really good about
He's really
that
good about
stuff,
it.
so-
And I know I was trying to schedule something last time and it didn't work out, and he really, wanted to work with us and help us out. So I just have to see whether or not that's available. And if that's not available, then, we could, I guess, do it at the
The library,
auditorium.
the center,
Yeah.
cafe.
Yeah. I just don't like the acoustics at the auditorium that much.
Where?
At the
Cafeteria.
the gym, I'm sorry, the gym,
The gym.
yeah.
Yeah, I meant the gym.
But
What about the center cafe? How, are the acoustics good? I don't know. I mean, I haven't really paid attention.
yeah, that could work too. Yeah, the Center Cafe could probably work.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's we'll have it somewhere. But the good thing is I got the speakers booked. I think
Okay.
we'll figure out a room.
Good for you.
Yeah. So
So do we want to prepare anything, handouts or anything?
well, I think as soon as we get the room down, I'm hoping to know by tomorrow, and if not, then I'll book one of the rooms and maybe do the Center Cafe. It might be better. And then create a little maybe I get Allison to create something like she does, and just get that out, get it posted on Facebook, and through our networks and our committees and everything, and get folks there.
Great. That would be wonderful.
Um,
And then-
Okay, so let's see what else. So I don't know, Mary, if you want, you wanted on the agenda that, future housing work, given the change in administration, but we don't know if it's changed yet, so.
Oh.
So I don't think it makes a difference. I think we have to just keep on.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, no, I don't think so either. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing and what
Yeah.
we have been doing and what we need to keep doing.
Yeah, we have our charge, and,
You change your message for your audience depending on who they are, so we're used to that too.
yeah. Okay, so in terms of community conversations.
So I just wanted to let you all know that there's going to be a meeting, a community gathering, so it's open to everybody. A conversation about Woodbridge's new community and cultural center.
Oh,
The old firehouse is morphing into this.
Really?
And that's going to be Monday, November 17th, from 6:30 to 8 at the Woodbridge Library.
nice.
So just to get people's ideas as to how to use it and how they want to use it. And you think it's... So this is the flyer.
Cultural center. Are they gonna have like an auditorium? Or like a meeting place?
You know, I don't know what the interior space looks like, and I don't know. Do you know, Warner, what the old firehouse should be ready by when? December something?
Oh, it's gonna be,
It's the old firehouse.
right,
It's gonna
right,
be
but
repurposed.
I didn't even realize they were like working on it.
I haven't seen any work going on there.
Yeah, they've been
Yeah.
banging away on that thing for a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, have they? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
But there's no, we can't plan anything there yet. There's no furniture there.
It's gotta be a floor plan though.
Yeah, no, there is. Sandy Stein was working on it, Andrea.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I didn't know they were that far along.
Yeah, so this This is our Virgin event from All In.
Is it gonna be at the,
It's going to be at the library,
oh, okay.
yeah.
So when is that gonna be open?
When is the
Cultural.
the community center
center.
actually going to be open? I don't think it'll be before January. So
Okay.
this is just to get people's ideas as to how to use it and, you know, what they want to see happen there. I'm trying to get like all age groups, you know, really to get people involved. I asked, any of you know Eric Worthman from the library? I invited him to come too, because since the library space has been used for so many wonderful things, you know, we need to collaborate. This needs to be not one more thing that's divisive in Woodbridge. It needs to be a
Yeah,
collaborative
yeah.
effort, and that's what it's meant to be. You know, All In, this is,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I know the communities.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, just like the event that we're doing at the JCC, it would be nice if we could, if they had the space. You
Yeah.
know, so it could be, you know, an area where we could have our continuation of educational series on topics like affordable housing or, you know, other topics.
I mean, Warner, do you happen to know who was on the committee that was planning it? I know Sandy Stein
Sandy
and
Stein.
Andrea.
Yeah. Urbano?
No,
Is it White's Andrea?
yeah, I forgot her last name.
I know her name, I'm blocking on it. And I don't know who else. But I think it will be ready in January. It'll be nice.
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
it'd be very nice.
Little coffee shop or cafe or meeting rooms, stuff for the high school.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a little meeting place where people could just go and have a cup of coffee and
Yeah.
just talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's,
So anyway, that's November 17th, 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the library.
okay. Now, was there any other community conversations that you were, Lou had?
More pertaining to my all-in hat rather than my housing hat, which I
Okay.
hope very soon gets merged together into one hat,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or two heads.
Not two hats.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm wearing 7 hats or, no, not pertaining to housing.
Okay. Now, the strategy meetings that Ben does, because I know you had been participating in that, is that like,
You mean the SCROG meetings?
Yeah.
Or, yeah,
This-
but I haven't been to the last couple of SCROG meetings, so.
okay. I'm just wondering, because looking at the topics, I mean, it seems like they have some interesting topics that they're talking about, and we probably should be more involved with that now that I'm looking at it. And now that it seems like the housing strategy is going towards more of a regional strategy. It would probably be good to try to have somebody attend this and,
Well, maybe when Lou gets back from his travels.
Yeah.
He and I can
pick it up again.
pick it up again.
Yeah.
Because they are very interesting meetings. You do get some different perspectives.
So I think if you can indulge me, I just wanted to go through the list. I mean, because he had some comprehensive notes that he took, but I think it'd be interesting to see where we might want to fit in. So this is from
Do
Ben.
you remember to happen to know what the background for this is? Is this a summary of some of the things that have come up during the conversations, meetings that he's held? I wasn't
Right,
sure
they
what the
were-
background was.
They were maybe Elaine, maybe you could talk more, because you've been to some of these housing regional conversations where it's it's people from the SCROG region, representatives of the SCROG region that just kind of talk about, what's going on in their town and roadblocks and things of that sort.
Exactly, and, you know, how they're moving forward. It seems to me often that housing works quite closely with town planning and zoning. That the sense that I get from the towns that have been more successful are the towns where various committees that have a stake in this talk to each other on a regular basis and
Yeah.
work together in a way that has eluded us so far.
Sounds like a good introduction for our meeting with conservation.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to one in a couple of months, so that I can't. Did you send us something today? A Ben meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I also have it printed out, so you have a
Printed out.
copy of it.
Oh, I don't. Or did you?
It's in that group of things.
Or is it in the?
The one that
Yeah.
starts with notes on regional strategy?
Oh,
that-
okay.
have
Oh,
it?
this one. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
So just to roll through the breakthroughs, that there's been successful community conversations that brought groups together. Possibility of doing housing and environmental conservation at the same time. Okay, so where I guess other people are doing, and it'd be interesting to see. And that's what I'd be interested in, hearing other experiences from other towns and how they're doing this. And maybe it's having a joint, regional SCROG thing on housing and conservation, and just bring, maybe there's conservation groups that are a little bit more proactive with working with affordable housing groups that can maybe rub off on our conservation committee, for lack of a better word. But, so I thought that was interesting. Making people aware that we do have a housing crisis and we need affordable housing. Using town-owned property to reduce land costs. Story sharing, people are learning what the real issues are instead of this doesn't happen in our town. People realize how different kinds of people it affects. Hosting community conversations, including with builders. What is it that developers look for if they're going to build in a town? Possibility of tiny home developments, cottage clusters. Interested in the possibilities of POC updates, strategic plans. Roadblocks. Lack of sharing of information between towns about what's working and what's not, specifically around zoning regulations. Misinformation among residents and towns of government, board commissions. So this kind of
Yeah.
sounds familiar.
Sounds very familiar.
Contentious political environment, including sometimes locally. That doesn't happen here. Affordable housing section in zoning regulations can chase developers away toward towns that don't have it. People don't do enough relationships and outreach with local commissions. Need to convince builders and developers to actually build the units we need. Housing for whom? Frustration that affordable housing goes to people elsewhere, not from town. Challenge of finding open land that you could do something with. Discussion, we are all experiencing the same crisis in different ways. We have different stories, but they're connected. We're all here because we care. We can't vilify or accuse people who have concerns.
Did we, in response to the, what is it called, expression of interest, were there any, for the country club?
For the country, oh no, they haven't even gotten that far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's still like
That
passion
didn't-
that
okay.
out. So, I think that's probably, I imagine it's something the planner will be working on. 2 possibilities for collaboration: home share, fair rent commissions, videos, films, talking points, messaging. SCROG is looking to build out the different things they do and how they relate: housing, economic development, environmental conservation, transportation, looking at them holistically and how they relate, working with CEOs at the town's level. And I gotta say, we're doing that, right? I mean, we had a session on,
Yeah.
So what are they referring to when they say CEOs? I see further down, they say he's going to be meeting with CEOs, and maybe we should join him. What is a CEO?
that's,
The Board of
That's-
Selectmen, for Selectmen, is that what he's
yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah, but I think, we're a small
Nice.
town, we're already doing that, we're already kind of,
Yeah, I was
connected.
thinking maybe he was talking about business people. CEOs.
I don't know, I got the sense that he was talking about mayors and first selectmen.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Connecting with and convincing builders, SCROG working on developer survey will launch to residential developers throughout the state. And I don't know I don't know these people, so he's naming people, so I don't know who Bob is. Bob active with builders across the state, will connect with Ian for the survey. Are there good models for incentivizing builders instead of penalizing them? Incentive housing overlays versus inclusionary zoning. Zoning, what's working, what's not, including ADUs, inclusionary zoning, and that'd be interesting to see how ADUs are working in other towns.
Locally, yeah.
SCROG hosts a conference gathering town planners and commissioners. Example, 4 to 5 towns doing this together in Northwest Connecticut, gathering to learn each other's language, way of thinking, getting housing into POCDs as a meaningful part of the whole. Well, I think we did get that in there. SCROG can do some of this in-house, developer survey, GIS survey of available land. 3, setting the curriculum for upcoming trainings and educational sessions. And there's future topics. Community conversations around updating affordable housing plans. Special, special session November. COG directors, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, Connecticut Organization of Small Towns are working together to create language that can be passed by the legislature and signed by the governor. As it stands, towns' affordable housing plans will need to be updated in 2027. Waiting to see if that regulation will be updated, included with the possibility of a regional affordable housing plan as opposed to town by town. Oh, I didn't know that was like taking the place of town by town.
Would that work? That's an interesting concept, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, I kind of skimmed this, but I'm actually like reading it now, so I don't know. Ben and SCROG staff will be meeting with CEOs, including a few folks from our groups in those meetings, ? The goal is to build a program around what we find out they need. What is it that you need from us right now when implementing your 8-30J plan? How can the community be involved in the implementation and in planning for the next? How can we be proactive and not reactive? And Larry is actually on planning and zoning and is part of the housing committee. Affordable, I don't know what they call
For
it.
which, I'm trying to remember which town. I mean,
Guilford.
Guilford, that's right,
Yeah.
Guilford, yeah.
So he's, that's what I was trying to say, yeah, like planning and zoning is very much part of housing, but it doesn't seem to sink in yet. So Larry's looking to get help following housing-related bills in front of the legislature and exploring possible advocate efforts. So that is the extent of notes, but I think there's a lot of good, interesting things that are going on here, so I might try to, I think I was thinking about actually doing this, but I had a conflict. But even, maybe building off on some of these areas, like talking to towns in terms of, finding out, okay, how is, your updated ADUs regulation, has that resulted in any more ADUs? Do you have any problems with the the Airbnb aspect of it, and just trying to,
So
Learn
if
some more
Scrog
things.
is working on this, we should probably start with them to see what they've already learned.
yeah. Um, So, any questions from Ben's notes?
Do you want me to do that? Do you want somebody else to do that? Call Scrog? Do you want to do it?
Do what?
On ADUs, do you want somebody to call Scrog about it? Or do you want to do that?
No, you could, can you do,
I
or
can-
Elaine?
I can
or-
make phone calls.
I'm sorry, I was reading, I didn't, what did you just say?
To follow up with Scrog on the ADUs, to see whether or not we could get some information on what
Okay.
other towns are doing
Okay.
with
I can-
ADUs. I
can-
mean, you know, it's kind of interesting, they kind of referred a lot, Scrog has been referring some towns to us as being in front of, you know, promoting ADUs, which we have, because we have adopted the state regulations on ADUs, so we really kind of made that very, you know, flexible in terms of how you could build an ADU, in terms of, doesn't have to be attached, it doesn't have to be family related, you know, it could be, you know, a bigger, you know, could be up to 1,000 square feet. So we did a lot of changes with the ADU regulations, and as far as I know, there isn't a great influx of ADUs. I mean, there's been
Requests.
some, but it's mostly
But-
for,
We decided as a town to follow the state guidelines, right?
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So we didn't opt out, because a lot of towns did opt out.
Mhm.
They didn't want to be that flexible with the ADU regulations, but
Mhm.
we decided just to go with the state's regulations. And again, this is where, you know, you change the regulations with the hope that you're gonna have a lot of these ADUs, and you can't make people build ADUs in their backyards.
Did Chris share with you at one point how many applications there have been? I have 6 in my head, but I don't know. if
Yeah, I think there was
need-
7.
7,
Yeah.
7?
yeah. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, she gave me the list of the 7 ADUs, and Scrag had referred Wallingford to me, because they were interested in ADU regulations,
Mhm.
knowing that we had aligned our ADU regulations with the state's language. And, you know, we drove around to look at the ADUs to see, you know, how they looked in, you know, the different addresses, and, you know, a lot of them were attached. There was a couple of them that were detached.
Mhm.
But again, you know, we want to see like how well these towns are doing with ADUs, when in fact Scrog is actually referring a lot of these towns to us as being the
Oh, we're the
Yeah.
poster child?
closer, yeah, as you know, really
Good heavens.
promoting this.
Good heavens.
So, you know, again, it'll be interesting to see what other towns are doing with this, but.
If we were to produce a panel program, as people have asked us to do, about how to do an ADU and what's involved and so forth, would we want to talk to the people who built them? Do we have the authority to do that, or would that be
Sure.
too intrusive?
Oh, the people in Woodbridge who,
Who constructed them? How would you go about making those?
I think just
Introduction.
reach out. I mean, Chris had the addresses, and, you know, we just kind of did a drive-by, except there was one house where we couldn't figure out which one was the ADU, and I was driving with somebody who was actually like a state representative from like the Wallingford area, and she's like, well, I'm just gonna like knock on the door, and I'm like, oh my God, you know. So she got out and knocked on the door, and you know, the guy was like who are you? And he actually asked to see like her ID. Wanted to make sure that
you know, you can.
I'm not, you know, I mean, you got some person knocking on the
Well,
door
look at
asking.
the house, yeah.
asking
Doesn't
about-
happen that often in
Um,
Woodbridge, that somebody knocks on your door.
And so she showed him like her you know, her state legislative ID, and so then he was cool with it. And then he was talking, and it was actually like a barn in the back that they did as an ADU for his parents that I guess live half the year in Arizona, and then live the other half the year in Woodbridge. And it looked cute. I mean, it was
I
like,
wonder if it's the one
it's on Peace
for
Road.
which I met, on Peace Road, yep. I know the guy who did it,
Okay.
the constructing. Well, if that person is willing to talk about it, then maybe we could get
Yeah, he
him and the contractor.
yeah, no, he seemed, once he knew that we weren't like some strange deviants on their property, he seemed.
Well, that's what I meant by, is there a process for doing this that you can cut through the
Yeah,
inclination of people to think you're a strange deviant
yeah.
coming to their property? So, some, you know, letter in advance or
Maybe just a
something.
nice note and say, hey, like to see if you'd be willing to talk about it.
Not that strange.
That'd be fun.
So, anyway,
Okay.
so that is, I think that is all I
The end of our.
have, unless does anybody have any other related topics to the agenda?
Nope.
Not at the moment.
Okay, well,
Wow.
so just to recap, we do have, our next meeting will be, we have one more meeting.
How about tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna see you
It's-
tomorrow.
At 6:20.
At 6:20, right, all right, 6:20 in this room. We'll be
Okay.
here for 40 minutes.
Okay.
And, so we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think, we'll-
6:20 in this one?
Yeah. Yeah.
so we'll just start off first at them as, since it's their meeting, to see whether or not they want to, you know, start the meeting off.
If
And
they
if they
have
want us
anything.
to start the meeting off, then, I'll send out the statement that I wrote and see whether or not you guys are okay with that, me kind of like talking through that statement as a way to start the conversation.
Okay.
So,
Fine.
all right, so,
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
Okay.
Anybody second
I'll
it?
second.
Your second, which is
All in favor?
reverse.
However.
Someone's gonna take some more candy.